and welcome back to Chats with RRS. It's another one. It's a great week. This week we're actually wrapping up the football season and linking that back into recruitment. So there's a few of us within the company that absolutely are football fanatic, but I've chose two of the greatest guys that talk sense in the business about football. Some of the others will tell you Liverpool are going to win the league, and if you see their stand on it, God save them. It's a two-horse race. I'm a big Arsenal fan, as you know. I don't even think we're winning it, but we'll talk about that in a moment. I'm going to introduce my panel from my right to my right. I always say we've got a special guest, but these are great football legend guests when it comes to the world of football and intelligence of sports. So our first sports correspondent comes from our Leeds office. It's none other than Josh Scholefield. So Josh, tell us who you are, what you do, and the team that you support and love.
Howdy y'all, I'm Josh, I'm from the Leeds branch. For my sins, I'm a Manchester United fan. How it came to be about is it's very weird. I'm actually from a family of hardcore Leeds fans. I've just got one auntie who's like the black sheep of the family, and she sort of like got hold of me when I was very, very little. And had a red shirt around me, and it just came down to whether I preferred red or white, and that's how I'm a Man United fan. I had a really, really happy childhood. I hit my teens and things got. I hit my teens and things got a lot worse as a United fan. It's been 10 years of pain to say the least, but the love never dies. Cut me up and I bleed red, believe it or not.
The one thing I do love about Josh is his positivity in life. His team and his football club and everything, this stadium's all falling apart. One thing he does keep intact is his business desk, his desk in the recruitment world, and he never lets his clients down. So if you need a strong defence and an attack, Josh is your man to go to. If you need a leaky ground and leaky stands, you probably want to visit Old Trafford. The address is here below.
Yeah.
And the second person who we've got on the panel today, he's only got invited to the panel because it tastes like promotion. Is none other born and raised in the East Midlands. He absolutely bleeds blue, and they're back to where they belong. They're meant to be in this league, and it's Jason, and he's a big football fan of Leicester City. So welcome to the panel, Jason.
Good to be here, pleased to meet you all. I'm a big, obviously, Leicester City fan. Worked at the club for 10 years, so I've seen the good and the bad of football. I'm the Group Business Development Manager for Regional Recruitment. And I'm a beloved fan. I don't go down to the ground very often nowadays because I'm a big golf lover as well. But I've been a season ticket holder at Leicester City since I was 4, up until probably about 2 years ago.
When it all went downhill, you
I've
decided
got
to
to
be
be
golfing.
To be fair though, I have seen the thick and thin of it. I joined Leicester City when we were in League One at our very, very lowest position, and luckily only left them once we finished in Europe. So I thought I was leaving them at the top.
And he didn't want to be part of the roller coaster anymore. But guess what? He's back on it. Now that they're back in the Prem, are you signing back up for a season ticket?
I'm a little bit unsure, depending on the price. I'm a bit of a fair weather supporter nowadays, but I don't miss a single game, whether it be live or
on TV.
That's it. And if you want the answer to the age-old question, what does the fox say? You should have just seen him when they achieved promotion, because you could hear it from all the way up in Leeds.
We made sure Leeds hear it because I just don't feel they're going to get there.
Good luck to Leeds tonight. They're in the playoffs against Norwich City. We've got a big Leeds fan in the office at the moment. He's keen to get himself down. This is actually being recorded in our studio in Leicester. And he actually made the appearance today, so he's got to drive back up to Leeds and hopefully make it in time for the game. And we are hoping for Leeds to get the 3 points, because it'll be good to have them back on in the Prem and back up and doing very, very well. So, boys, let's discuss football. I only see the table from the top end, similar to what Jason sees this season. We only watch from the top end. Sorry, Josh. One of the biggest things that I've noticed within the football industry and within recruitment, like, let's link this back into recruitment. Manchester United have got it totally wrong when it came to buying players or hiring players or doing their recruitment right. What advice, or what do you think went wrong this year? What advice would you give them to avoid them problems? Or what would you say went absolutely wrong, other than the waterfall that we all seen last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you've got the stadium leaking, but also you've just got, the added effect of the fans' tears, which isn't great. But no, I think, the recruitment process, I think, is where you have to start. A big esteemed club like that, obviously, we've got shed loads of money. It doesn't mean that we have to literally just away, so excuse my French. We're forking out, hundreds of millions of pounds every summer, on it seems to be like either aging, but big names, except Casemiro, etc.
5-year contract.
Varane,
Yes.
and you have to look at it from, the perspective of like the fans when you're seeing, this is £350,000 a week. And all respect to Casemiro, a fantastic player, but when you see the lack of pace, the kind of struggles that he's had in adjusting from La Liga to the Premier League, especially at like 30, 32, 33 years old, I think you have to question the recruitment strategy. These are big names, they are marketable. We have to remember Manchester United is ultimately a business, one of the biggest in the world. But ultimately it comes down to performance. And I always kind of relate it to Formula One. Lewis Hamilton, massive name. But we look at it, 40 years old, big and marketable, but it comes down to performance, and you have to question Manchester United's recruitment strategy in that fiscal sense.
No, you're not wrong. And the biggest thing that I would have noticed was when you got Ten Hag in, you had some major names on the books, such as Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, he's been gone for a little while. He's gone join the Saudi league. But having the mindset of having players like Ronaldo, like Casemiro, I can see why they brought them in, because it drives the seniority in the team. It drives mindsets. One of the biggest things that you would have noticed within the Manchester United club was all about positive mental attitude. Marcus Rashford's celebration was this. And my version of that within the recruitment world is this: wearing ties. Look at all three of us. Today is one of the biggest days that we've got in the month. It's one of our sales days, is to bring on all the jobs. For me, I come dressed smart because it puts me in the right frame of mind of how to address the situation. And obviously there's leaks within the Manchester United team, not just the actual stadium or the waterfall or the damages that we've seen. There's more than the leaks that we can actually see on the eye. And that's where Josh has hit the nail on the head. It comes down to the recruitment strategy. They can actually change that. And what would you guys say could be implemented, or what could they actually do, or what do you think should have happened to support your team to be up there? Because they're a big club, like you say, they're one of the biggest businesses within the football world. They're one of the biggest names within the football world. But if you look at the table, they're not.
Let's just make sound business decisions. Like I say, we seem to have adopted this policy of going for really big, really marketable names. But even when we're not, we're looking at taking Anthony from Ajax. Don't get me wrong, incredibly talented player. Same with Højlund. But you have to question, are these guys really worth 60, 70, 80 million pounds? And it's like kind of what I was going back to before. Just because we've got the money, it doesn't mean that we have to just chuck it away like it's like it's going to be there forever. We are a business, we're not an inexhaustible source of income. So I think it's just making those kind of smarter decisions. There are talented players out there that you can get for a fraction of the price. And I was thinking, if you just look at similar like how City have recruited recently, Jeremy Doku, Haaland, they're coming at a fraction of the price and they're getting good quality players.
It seems like they've got good financial controllers as well. So some of the clients that we agree deals with, you'll know yourself, sometimes the budget is a bit tight. And the greatest client that I would like to have on board would be a business such as Manchester United, because financial sense seems to be very little at the moment. And this is where we draft Leicester into it. So Leicester have obviously done the incredible in the 2016 season, and they put our city on the map. And the Foxes really did that. And I hand on heart, can't thank the Foxes enough for what they did worldwide for the city and the money that they've brought in. What would you say that Leicester do really well when it comes from a financial perspective?
I think they've got a good recruitment process. Obviously, being a smaller club as they were at the time, I think obviously they've vastly had to overpay on players' wages and sometimes on transfer fees at their detriment, because the revenue, obviously they have to stick to financial fair play, which is very difficult for the smaller clubs, because Leicester are always trying to break into the top four, even though they potentially did. They were always trying to challenge teams that income was 10, 20 times higher than theirs. And to do that, you still have to buy similar quality players who are on big salaries. And little clubs really, with financial fair play, can't get away with that nowadays. So that's why you tend to find the teams sort of bottom, middle of the league are a bit yo-yoing at the minute because they're all trying to expand their stadiums so they can fit into financial fair play. And, you know, football has vastly gone from a game that everybody enjoys into a solid financial business.
And it has, you're absolutely right. Another great thing Leicester do is, in recruitment we call it a temp to perm option.
Yep.
They loan players.
Yep.
And they've done really well with a specific player this season.
They have Fatwa, yeah.
Fatwa, yes.
Great little player. Great signing for us.
The commitment that lad has for the club, because he refused to go to the Africa Cup of Nations this year. It's club over country for him at the moment.
Very much so.
Yes, and he's very committed to the business he works for.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, footballers have got a job. And those are the kind of candidates that we want to represent in the market.
Yeah.
The ones that want to go to work. They're not turning up just for the fame or the money or the status element. It's more about, I want to work for you guys and I want to make sure that I give you 150% all the time. But yeah, Leicester did really well. They did attempt a perm option. They had him on loan, obviously. He's done so well. Now they're looking to buy him for next season.
I mean, it's very much like regional recruitment, to be fair. We give everybody an opportunity. Some people with limited recruitment experience, and certainly it's very much like Leicester City. We plucked some players really from obscurity. £500,000 ended up becoming best player in the Premier League.
Well,
to be fair, yeah. He won PFA Player of the Year, and this is similar to Fatwa. He's not been playing very well for the last 3 years. Leicester took a risk on him, and there's plenty of Premier League teams now that would love to purchase him. And I do feel it's the way, the ethos here, really, that we're able to take on what we see as little gems with maybe not as much experience, but we're able to guide them and train them and turn them into a fully fledged 360 recruiter. Very much similar to what Leicester City are doing with their players.
I definitely consider myself a product of that as well. You know, it helps when you've got like strong mentors around you. You know, the esteemed gentlemen to my left and right. You know, these guys are the best in the business, and I think we've got a kind of perfect combination of youth and experience as well. Obviously, I think there's the obvious comparison, regional recruitment to a Premier League football outfit. It's just full of young, good-looking lads who make shed loads of money, you know, which can't be overstated.
Stop it, Josh.
The calendar comes out at the end of the year, guys, you know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And in life, I'm a true believer, it's about attitude. If you've got people with the right attitude in any business, you can train them and upskill them in a way. Like, I'm a true believer. My goat in football is Messi. And I'll tell you why. He's born with talent. However, when talent don't work hard, hard work beats talent. And you can see that with CR7.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm not saying he's not a talented player, he is, he's born with it. But he works so damn hard to get to where he is, to upkeep his physicality, his professionalism, his athleticism is incredible. And that's where hard work gets involved. Another guy that you mentioned was Erling Haaland. He works his arse off. If you've got the right attitude and you can apply yourself, anything is possible. Anything in this world will be possible. Even the word impossible says I'm possible. I know that's cheesy as anything, but it's the goddamn truth.
Yep.
It's the way the world operates. So we recruit on skill and will and attitude. Attitude's one of the biggest things that I look for. If you can be passionate about anything in life, you can apply that to recruitment, and you can be passionate about recruitment. What do you think drives footballers these days when it comes to signing on or agreeing deals? Because you've got to understand, Erling Haaland could have gone anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But he chose Man City, and Man City didn't pay over the odds for him. And within any sales environment, especially within recruitment, when we get 360 recruiters, they've got to be driven by money, commission. Do you think footballers are driven by money?
Yeah, I do. You know, there's other things that they're driven by, but let's be honest, the business world, everybody's driven by money. You know, people will move, especially in recruitment, for, you know, a couple of £1,000 when they've potentially been in the job for 5 or 6 years. So clearly money is the motivator. But also, obviously, you know, they do think about what clubs they're going to. You know, that's why Newcastle struggled to recruit before the billionaires got on, because, no offence to Newcastle, it's not an area where the players' wives potentially want to live. So they were struggling with the recruitment process, and that's why the big London clubs, the big Manchester clubs, and the smaller Liverpool clubs, you know, get the best players. It's not simply just because of money, it's location as well.
Absolutely, and this is what candidates will ask us as well. It's about the money, it's about the location, it's about the working hours. How many times have you had a conversation? So Josh recruits in the engineering industry. The engineering industry is predominantly male dominated, and we are trying to help and put that right by making a diverse environment. But how many times have you spoken to a male engineer and they've got to run things past their partners, their wives, their girlfriends and so forth?
Sorry, the decision maker.
Yes,
The decision maker, yes. And a lot of the men that are in them positions will still consider themselves to be alpha males, but they still got to speak to the DM, the decision maker in this case, to make sure that they can agree the deal. And it baffles me. When I ran my own desk, I always used to say, "Are you happy with the conditions? Are you happy with the place? You've got to work there. It's not your partner. It's not nobody else. You've got to be happy with it. So if you are, let's sign on the dotted lines." But you still get it where they talk to you about conditions and the rest of it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it wasn't until I was a more experienced recruiter that I actually made sure that I finished every candidate interview off with, "Please discuss this with your wife." Only because experience tells me that men can be a little bit bolshy when they're talking to other men, don't like to always tell other men how it may be, and I found that I have many male candidates say yes to me on the phone, and then when I call them the following day, it's a no, simply because they haven't even discussed the move with their wife, their family, their kids, when they're looking to relocate their family 100 miles down the road and they've made the decision themselves. It's a
and it's
family decision.
It's like with anything in life as well, and especially you can relate that to the other scenario. We've all been there. You come into the boozer tonight, mate, and he's like, yeah, of course I am. Runs that by the missus. All of a sudden, he's not coming to the boozer tonight. The old ball and chains back. So it does show the importance of discussing these things with your significant other. So yeah, like I would say that to anyone looking to move with jobs, or look at a new position, just explore that with your wife, girlfriend, sort of like boyfriend as well, partner, whatever. Because these are decisions that ultimately they don't just affect you.
And not just your partners, also your boss, the people that you work for, because they have all faith in you, they trust you, they've got you in a position of power or a position to carry out your duties. And if you don't discuss it with them, unfortunately what it means for us is counter offers. And we would rather know about the counter offers before they actually come in. And when we're talking about the world of football, it's the exact same. Footballers will have a chat with 2 or 3 teams before they make their final decision. And they've also got recruiters involved. They're actually called agents. And the agent's obviously going to be interested in whoever pays the biggest fee. Whereas we try and place candidates for the right reasons, and you try and place the candidate for what drives them. And if their family function is important to them, or they've got loyalty to the people that they work for, have a discussion with your boss as well, because 9 out of 10 times, something that might be bothering you today could be solved by your boss tomorrow. So have that conversation before you actually start to think about the move. Really and truly though, how often do you get counter offers, and how often do counter offers get rejected or they bounce back, or how often do you actually hear from the exact same candidate within 6 months?
Well, I have particular candidates that tell me that the reason they're moving is they don't like their manager, they don't like the company they work for, or they don't like their director, and there's no way, even if they were offered 5 or 10 grand more, they would possibly stay. But within a minute of them being successful and getting an offer from one of our clients, they will, I would say at least 1 in 3 candidates don't really have any intentions of moving. They're just looking for a pay rise at their current employer. And as soon as they get an offer, they go back to their current employer, and their current employer knows that the recruitment process is a minimum £6,000 for them to get someone else on board, maybe a lot more depending on the position, and they get a counter offer and they end up staying. So all the reasons of why they were wanting to leave aren't their real true objections. Their true objection is they just simply wanted a pay rise.
And it's always kind of the question, what I kind of always say with the flip side of that is, you have to look at it, look at the reasons behind counter offers. you know, it can seem like, you know, you can be talked into like the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You know, that's a common tactic that's used by bosses when they've got an employee that expresses an interest in leaving. But you know, like I've had those experiences in the past where where a candidate's taken a counter offer, accepted it without question. You know, he was a welder who was making £14 an hour, said that he wanted to leave. His boss said that £17 an hour straight away, no questions asked. You have to ask kind of the reasons behind that. You know, the simple fact of the matter is that boss, you know, who offered the counter offer that quickly without any questions, £17 an hour straight away, you know, they could have been paying him £3 an hour more than they were, but they weren't. You have to ask yourself, why is that? You know, and is that an employer that's truly got your best interests at heart? Because these are big, you know, wage differences. And if that had never have been, you know, an issue in the first place, then why wasn't he getting paid that money? You know, he certainly felt he was entitled to it, and he was producing work that, you know, was suggestive of someone who should be at that higher salary bracket. So, you know, with counter offers, it's a tricky one. You know, studies that are out there that show that like 8 out of 10 candidates who end up taking a counter offer leave pretty quickly, regardless, anyways. So, you know, do have that kind of thing to yourself. You know, it can be difficult because you're in a position where taking that leap into the unknown as such, like I say, it's very easy to hear that the grass isn't always greener. But certainly when you're thinking about that market, it can be tempting to think, you know, it's better to kind of the devil, you know, even if you are unhappy, you know, there's a familiarity there. So it's an environment that you can be comfortable in without necessarily being happy in. But, you know, irrespective of that, it's always important to, you know, kind of gauge your options. You know, don't take that counter offer at just face value, analyse the kind of meanings behind it.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And if you're adding value to any business, your hourly rates are discussed. And if we draft that back into the football world of things, I'm going to talk about a club that means a lot to me and it's close to my heart, Arsenal FC. Hopefully this Sunday, Man City lose and we win and we get the trophy back. But if you look at Declan Rice this season, he's our record signing. 105 million he's cost, but he's worth every single penny. Nobody bats an eyelid and nobody ever discusses his price tag. But then if you compare him to the likes of, I'm sorry to pick on Man U again, but if you look at the likes of Maguire, Maguire's left Leicester City, how long ago? 5, 6, 7 years ago even.
Lovely guy, but we were over the moon with 85 million.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
You've absolutely ripped them off. They could have used some of that money to rebuild the ground.
And get some tissues for the fans.
Yeah, patch some things up. But yeah, people still talk about it. So many years later, he's not produced anywhere near the 80 million price tag. But if you look at Ben White, Declan Rice, sort of moved similar sort of times as him. They're both all part of the England squad, even though Ben White's dropped out. But they all producing, and the value added to the squad is incredible. So it's that mentality, the winning mentality. So I spoke about the mindset. So the additions Arsenal have made were champions. They're adding people that are ready to win today. Not tomorrow, not in a week. It's all about today. The time is now. Time kills deals. So the slower you are in the process, the slower it's going to take you to become successful. Same as recruitment. The longer clients take to interview or make an offer or come back with feedback on a CV or an interview, the slower that is going to be for that company to grow and become a champion. Going back to it though, with Leicester City coming back up into the league and Manchester United being down in the dumps, who do you think out of you two is going to end higher in the table next year?
I'd love Leicester to finish above Man U. I am a realist though, as a football fan and as a recruiter. I'm of a certain age where I'm a realist. Let's say.
You've learned.
Without giving my age away. I can't see a hope in hell's chance of Leicester finishing above Man United next season. But the honest truth is, I'd say within 3 or 4 years, if Leicester could do what they did previously, which I see no reason why, similar management, similar ownership, similar people in the background, that, you know, we couldn't become a top 6 team again. There was a period where we were the only team, I think, that finished in the top 5 for 5 years on the run. Yeah. And that's including any team in the Premier League. And it was only after the season where we were bottom at Christmas. Every club that's bottom at Christmas gets relegated, except Leicester City, and then they go on to win the league. So it just shows, you
was a bottom that year, was you?
We were bottom the year before we got...
Oh, the year before, yes. Because the year you won it, you was top of the league at Christmas.
No, we sort of were, but we were rock bottom at Christmas.
The year before?
Yeah, we managed to stay up, and then the next year we won the league.
Fluke.
It's incredible.
Fluke season.
Well, you know, a bit like Arsenal now. Once in a while.
It was a very fluke season. I'll tell you why. Because it was a two-horse race between you and Tottenham, and we finished second. So it's.
And when we say that nothing is impossible, that obviously excludes the fact that you know Tottenham will never ever win anything. Nothing is impossible except for Spurs winning something.
I totally agree, but no, spot on. So you do think that United's going to end up on top of you?
I'm a realist. You know, as I say, of a certain age, I've been watching football since I was 4 years old. I wouldn't say I know more about football than anybody else, but I'm a grounded supporter at the end of the day.
Excellent. And I'm going to follow that up with our favourite question on this podcast, and we ask it on every single time with every guest that we have on. So you're a realist now. So what advice would you give your younger self? Because I'm sure when you're younger, you was always hopeful and thinking Leicester's going to win the Champions League, Leicester's going to win the Premier League, and the world's going to be your oyster. So now that you're a realist, what advice do you give your younger self?
What advice would I give my younger self? I've got to be honest, I was never expecting Leicester to win the Premier League. Even when I was 4 years old, I was still a realist. There are some things that are achievable in life, and there's some things that you aspire to. And I think Leicester are a more aspirational team rather than maybe the likes of Liverpool that think they've got a God-given right. Sorry, any Liverpool fans out there, but a God-given right to win the league every year. I think you've always got to be grounded, whether you're in recruitment, whether you're in the Premier League, whether you're at the top of your game. You know, if you're at the top, you're only ever going to fall down. So you've always got to be grounded, steady, and be a realist.
Absolutely, and that's one of my favourite sayings. I always tell people, remain humble or you stumble and crumble. And the moment you start stumbling, if you've not been nice whilst you were going up towards the people that are now could catch you, they won't, and they'll watch you crumble. Think about it in life. Negativity spreads like wildfire. But the moment you start going downhill, people are happy and they'll start spreading it, unless you're humble about it, and people will support you. Same question to you, Josh. I know you're still a spring chicken, are you young?
23 now, I've seen these 4 headlines.
What advice do you give your younger self?
My honest advice that I would give my younger self is, I mean, there's one that's above all. Oasis broke up in 2009. I unfortunately never got the chance to see them live, but like I would have done that even though I'd only been like 7. But no, I think I'm very, very similar to Jason. You know, stay grounded. I think it's really, really important that you listen to people who are older than you at that age. You know, especially when you're so young and impressionable, you are like a sponge. So you know, I've kind of been fortunate in the place that I've got great parents, great family network around me. You know, my friends who are like older brothers, etc. You know, spending too much time in the pub, so there's always a word of wisdom from like the older guys there, even if it's just like not what to turn out like. But yeah, at the same time, I've got a great balance there in terms of having mentors like Guleid, like Jason, who are always there and who are happy, who are happy to dispense that knowledge that they've built up over the years. So I think it's just it's kind of the foolishness of youth and like the kind of arrogance of youth. It's easy to take over. But like, just stay grounded, stay humble, listen to your peers, listen to those who are older than you, because they've got fantastic life lessons.
I'm an old man and I'm still learning every day.
Every day is a school day for all of us.
Absolutely.
And the way the world changes as well with technological advances and everything that goes along with it, it's always learning, and we can never be ahead, even though, as Josh just mentioned, it's always great to listen to your elders can get it wrong. So you've got to make your own choices and decisions in life. The last thing I would advise younger Josh is don't support United. Maybe become a Leeds fan.
Probably become a Leeds fan, yeah.
Yes.
Also Flappy Bird as well. When everyone was selling their iPhones, like Flappy Bird, and they were making millions. Like, I wish I'd have done that. I kept that old iPhone 4S because I thought it was really nice and pretty looking. But in hindsight, bad decision.
You should have downloaded Flappy Birds.
Yeah.
But no, thanks for your time, boys. I really enjoyed speaking to you guys about football and the respective teams that you support. This is all in gist of banter and having a good laugh, as well as talking about business in the world of work. So anybody that we've offended out there, please don't take us seriously when it comes to talking about your football teams and the rest of it. They're all personal opinions.
No, joking, seriously. No, we never mean to offend. Big love to everyone who's a football fan. Big love to everyone.
Thank you, Josh.
I'm lost for words now.
And on that note,
Do we have
thanks
to
for
cut that?
watching.
Sorry,
Cheers.
mate.